Welcome back. So let's continue our session, and I would like to invite Lydia Makaroff to take the floor. Lydia is the director of the European Cancer Coalition, which is the voice of cancer patients in Europe. You represent 400 members in the 28 member states. Lydia has over 10 years of international experience in non-communicable disease research and policy development. And she will give us now a more European perspective on the social disparities that affect cancer patients across Europe and illustrate the findings of a very recent survey that we have realized. So Lydia, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Lydia Makaroff. I'm the director of the European Cancer Patient for the next week. We also, in our audience, we have Antonella Cordano. She's here. Do you want to? So she will be the director of the European Cancer Patient Coalition next week going forward. And we also have our policy assistant, Calaroy. You want to say hello as well? So if you've also got any further questions about what I'm going to present today, those are the people that you want to talk to. What is the European Cancer Patient Coalition, first of all? So we are an umbrella organization of over 400 national cancer patient organizations throughout the European Union. We're based here in Brussels, just down the road, Rue Montoyer, and it's very interesting to see so many new faces in the room. Sometimes we tend to just work in the health policy space, working with other cancer organizations. So I'm really excited to be invited to speak at this conference because this is a little bit different to what we normally do, and it's fantastic to hear a different perspective about cancer and about how we can support people with cancer and also their carers. And so next year we will be writing a white paper, a policy paper called Europe of Social Disparities. So in 2015, the European Cancer Patient Coalition published a position paper called Challenging the Europe of Disparities in Cancer. And this previous white paper, it focused on the more concrete disparities. So we talked about access to medicine, we talked about access to radiotherapy, and then what we have seen is it's not just these differences that we see in access to medicine, but it's also differences in social protection. We have seen that there's also the need, as we've also heard this morning, to focus on the employment aspects of both the person with cancer and their caregiver, as well as looking at medicine and radiotherapy and surgery. And so next year, so currently this year we're working on a survey, and this survey is conducted in collaboration with another organisation called the European Organisation for the Research and Treatment of Cancer. We're also working with our members to map the legal provisions in social and employment law afforded to people with cancer and their carers. And then next year, we will be using all of these data to produce a white paper, which will be called Challenging the Europe of Social Disparities in Cancer. And this white paper will do a survey and a summary of what we see in terms of the various levels of social protection in different countries within Europe. And it will also have recommendations at both the European and at the national level. And one of the policy files that we're looking at the moment Europe-wide is called the Work-Life Balance Directive for parents and for carers. So at the moment, this European directive has passed through the European Commission and it has passed through the European Parliament. And it is now currently in trilogues, which is the discussions between the European Commission, the European Parliament and the European Council. And what we hope is that when this directive comes out, the Work-Life Balance Directive for parents and carers, is that we have more protections for people caring for someone with cancer. So we're campaigning at the moment for 5 days paid leave for all carers, formal recognition of carers, and also flexible working conditions in terms of hours and location. So this is a policy file that we'll also be following very closely next year, and we hope to see some agreement on this hopefully before the European elections next May. And so the objectives of this new policy paper, we need to build a better picture of social disparities in Europe. This morning we've heard some fantastic examples of different countries and what works well and what doesn't work well. And so we would like to pull all this together so we have a clear picture of best practices and not so great practices within Europe. So we can build knowledge on the current state of a range of social and employment issues. We will then use this to advocacy at the EU level, but empowerment at national level as well. So we will have recommendations at the national level that then our members can use to then advocate to their national employment minister to say these are the changes that we need to see at the national level. And we want to really look at this and pinpoint the social issues that are affecting both patients and their carers. So this will be an EU-level campaign towards greater equality in social and employment matters in cancer care. And what we see that there's a need for better knowledge on the current state of a range of social and employment matters in each member state. And this is joint work between ECPC and EORTC, the European Organisation of the Research and Treatment of Cancer, and the European Cancer Patient Coalition. And this work is focusing on cancer patients as well as survivors and carers. So this survey is in progress, and so these are the countries that have responded so far. We have Greece, Sweden, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Italy, United Kingdom, Finland, Czech Republic, Ireland, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Croatia, France, Belgium, Austria, and Germany. If you have knowledge of the social protections in your country for cancer patients and their families, and your country is not on this list, please come see Calaroy there, and she will also help you, give you the link to the survey and her contact details, because we would love to also hear what is happening in your country. These are the respondents that we've heard so far. So we have this survey which is translated into many languages as well. So if you are not comfortable taking the survey in English, then we can also give you a translated version in your own country. And so this is what we have received. And this is just a snapshot of some of the interim results that we have received, looking at the general pattern throughout Europe. So when we asked the respondents, can a patient undergo a procedure for the assessment of a disability status? Because this morning we have heard, is cancer a disability or is it not a disability? There's still a discussion about that. We saw that over 80% of respondents said yes, but in 20% of cases, people said that in their country, a patient cannot undergo a procedure for the assessment of a disability status. And then we asked if this is applicable, who is eligible to initiate this procedure. So in 60% of respondents said a doctor is eligible to initiate this procedure. 75% of respondents said patients can initiate this procedure for having an assessment for disability, and 25% others. And then we also asked, does this disability assessment depend on the employment status? Just over 60% of respondents said yes, the disability assessment does depend on the employment status, and around 1/3 said no, the disability assessment does not depend on the employment status. We also asked, does the disability or partial inability certification entitle the person with a disability to receive social benefits? And then so we saw that over 80% of respondents said that getting this disability or inability certification then resulted in some sort of financial assistance. Over 60% of respondents said that this certification also had the advantage of pension credits. Just over 10% said that there was an advantage of tax exemptions or reductions. Over 60% said sick leave was an additional social benefit, and then 50% said other, and so we'll also be collecting all those other responses and putting it in the report. We also asked, is the cancer patient in employment at the time of diagnosis, are they entitled to paid sick leave? 100% of the respondents said yes, due to sickness, but only over 40% of respondents said paid sick leave for therapy. And then just over 10% said unpaid leave. And then none said benefit from holidays. So we're also be looking at this in more detail. Another question was, does the sick pay entitlement differ if the person with cancer is employed in the private or public sector? So some respondents said yes, that there are different benefits to the person with cancer depending whether they are in the private sector or the public sector, and just over half of the respondents said no, the sick pay entitlement does not differ. We also asked, do legal protections exist to protect people with cancer who are in employment from unfair dismissal? And we've heard a lot of stories this morning about unfair dismissal and whether or not there is legal protection for them. So 70% of respondents said yes, there are legal protections. How well those legal protections work in practice is another issue. And around 1/3 of respondents said no, there are no legal protections in their country to protect people with cancer who are in employment from unfair dismissal. We also asked, is a patient after disability assessment or a cancer survivor entitled to facilitated employment assistance provided by the law? And less than 1/3, really 1/4 of respondents said yes, but nearly 3/4 of respondents said no. In their country, there is no facilitated employment assistance provided by law for a cancer survivor or a person with disability assessment. We also asked, is the carer of a cancer patient entitled to pension benefits in compensation of the time spent out of work, and to what extent? And once again, only 1/4 of them said yes in response to this question. So that's an overview of some of the results that we've had so far, but I would really love your input on this as well. We will be writing the white paper on social disparities next year. So if you have a best practice from your country that you would like to recommend, if you're currently working on legislation in your country to improve the support for cancer carers and cancer patients and cancer survivors, please come to talk to us. And also, if you would like to be informed about what is happening at the European level, as we monitor the Europe of the social pillar of the European pillar of social rights, as well as the work-life balance directive for parents and carers, then please come and contact us. And thank you once again for the invitation to this very important conference. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Lydia, and also thank you for making the link with this proposed work-life balance directive, which gives me the possibility to share with the audience the fact that this is the fight to have this this directive is a priority for the ETUC. However, the fight is not over. As Lydia said, this directive is being discussed at the level of trilogue. There are some member states, very relevant member states like Germany, France, the Netherlands, or Italy, which are not being helpful, let's put it like this. And if you go to the wemove.eu website, for the very first time did you see launch an action, actually yesterday, to do a petition online where each individual can say, yes, we support this directive and we want this directive because we need these ministers and prime ministers to help building a more social Europe. And I'm very happy to also to hear from you how beneficial this directive might be if adopted in terms of alleviates or making the lives of people affected by cancer better once they return to work.